In your opinion, is foreign aid working?
No.
No.
No, not at all. Since 1976, $1 million a day has gone into Africa, and Africa is worse off now than what it was in 1975.
Money is constantly flowing into Africa, but where does it go if the people don't see it? The government.
Aid is a form of taxing the poor in the West to enrich the new elites in former colonies.
I wouldn't support passing that support through the government. It always does not reach. It remains somewhere up there.
The money that has been put to good use, it has helped, it has made a positive impact in the community. But also there's money that is being misused through embezzlement by some few government officials.
Actually, the government is really trying to give the support, but it needs a lot of supervision because people they're not trustful. I have to say it directly because the people that are not trustful, they can receive money in order to help people, but doesn't go to the people who need support. That's a big problem we have in Tanzania.
Sub-Saharan Africa is 11% of the world's population, has 24% of the world's diseases, yet only 1% of the world's healthcare spending.
Kenya has the second or third highest paid politicians in the world, yet Kenya gets aid. What the hell? They're getting so much money from overseas that they're just using it to pump up their own wealth. They're not using it to put it into the community.
According to Stephen from Daraja, education will always be miserable.
If the government invests too much in education and you get really good educated mass, then you've got people who start questioning what they're doing. And it's already happening. It is already happening. But then you've got en masse, you've got, everyone's then turning around to the government going, hang on a minute, we can work this out. That this is not right, what you guys are doing. So in some ways it's in the government's best interest to not have a good educated mass.
A good number of very poor families, they have very bright kids. So if they are given a chance to learn, they lift up the standards of their families.
Foreign aid is thought of as a permanent income in most developing countries, so policymakers have no incentive to look for better ways to finance long-term development. Unfortunately, a lot of the corruption is in-country as well.
If it is money donation, you can give me money and tell me, I want you to do this and this, and you don't follow up. I might divert that money to something else. I've seen it happen in several schools, and it doesn't give what the donor wanted the money to do.
Majority of projects are just about wasting money, and most of the money goes on board meetings and, expensive, they have their annual meetings on the coast where all the NGOs get together, and it's like at a $500 a night hotel, and that's all paid out of aid money. This is a complete waste of time, effort, and money.
Parachuting is a volunteering term for when a group completes an unsustainable project and doesn't follow up. This leaves communities littered with abandoned projects.
We've seen where some people come and support a project but don't come back. So for any success of a project, consistency and continuous monitoring of projects is very important.
The media forms our opinions so much more than we think it does. Does the media influence our view of foreign cultures too?
It's got everything here, everything you need for your mobile phones, all the minerals, everything Africa produces. It's the breadbasket of the world. If it could sort its shit out and actually unite and come together, it would be a superpower. And the West can't afford that. They want the world to think that Africa is just full of people living in mud huts and kids running around distended bellies and flies on their faces. It's that difference that is keeping the West very strongly, keeping Africa down from developing. Is that impression that people have is that it's just all doom and gloom here.
Picture this. A well-known organization or company decides they want to be charitable, whether for moral reasons or to boost their public image. They decide to donate millions of mosquito nets to Africa. Great idea, right? Think deeper. The local mosquito net producer, let's call him Paul, is now put out of business because no one is going to buy Paul's nets if they can just get them for free.
So Paul's out of luck. Say Paul employs 10 people at his mosquito net company. Those 10 people are also out of work. If each of those 10 people support 5 relatives, that's another 50 people in poverty. In many cases, people can support up to 15 relatives. So that would be 75 people in poverty in addition to those who lost their jobs. Did you rethink your mosquito net donation? Many times, donors assume they are the ones who know what countries in Africa need. That's not the case.
I think the local communities know the problems better, but the challenge is they don't know how to deal with these problems. Then they need the researchers to help them work together with researchers to design projects, better projects that can help them to get out of those problems.
He has to work with the local people themselves because it is them who know what they need. They know they can work for them. They need to do good work for their own people. So it is better to work hand in hand with them. For them, they do the funding and the follow-up, and the local people carry out the project. That's what I think.
So for volunteers to be effective, it's good they work with the local organizations and try to understand the local need, because different communities have different needs. So sometimes the volunteers get not so correct information about projects that they are going into, and that does not really have a meaningful impact to the project because the expectations are different.
When you visit a project, you follow, you become part of the project, and people adapt to you as a donor, and you adapt to them. Now, as we are talking about global village, I think projects bring us together.
Having a project in place and people to take it through, and then you see the results at the end. Don't just start a project and then go, but ask, even if you go, keep on following the project. How is it being done? That project will make a change in the community.
It should be everybody's calling to really design projects that are sustainable, so that at some point we can do things on our own rather than depending on foreign aid.
Sometimes even if you work with local people and the project is as well designed and sustainable as possible, it still doesn't work. For example, even if you give a pregnant woman, let's call her Rose, an HIV test and get Rose to a hospital that has the drug that protects Rose's baby during childbirth, and even if you teach Rose that breastfeeding can transmit the infection, and give her a supply of infant formula, Rose may discard this formula on the way home from the hospital because Rose feels she simply cannot feed her baby from a bottle in her village because everyone would know that she is HIV positive and would ostracize her.
Cultures are incredibly complex. Spend time learning about them, but not how our American textbooks perceive them. Talk to people. Listen and learn.
Helping people is difficult and unpredictable, and our interactions don't always work, but success is possible, and these victories are incredibly important.
I think help is the wrong word. I think we need to develop communities and give skills and give an opportunity, show people there's another way of doing things. Out here in this community, these people are isolated. The women in particular are isolated. And it's simply that people sometimes they just need to be given a taste of something else, and then they develop it themselves. They actually move forward with it.
When you want to help somebody, instead of giving him or her fish every time, you have to teach her or him how to get a fish instead of giving fish every time.
Microfinance is an example of a successful strategy to bring people out of poverty. Microfinance institutions provide small-scale loans to people who are too poor to have the capital a typical bank requires.
So basically, our loans are like some kind of like a jump starting you to starting a business, so that you can grow your business and earn a living from it, but also expand it more and more beyond. The microfinance program is all about, helping people build the culture of saving, and also trying to help people get away from the syndrome of handouts, because they know donors are going to come and give things, or the government is going to come and give things for free.
We've learned so much. Now what do we do? What can we do to encourage, not take away from, positive change?
You cannot save Africa, but you can definitely learn stuff from people here, and people can learn stuff from you. And I think if you see it as an opportunity for self-growth, or just to open your eyes up to see that things are different here, but things are also quite functional in many ways. Yeah, sure, Africa's got their problems, but so do you guys.
Number one is for someone to visit a project.
You will not come to stay here for long, but just to come here and see sometimes what they are doing the best thing, instead of just staying there and sending money. Maybe if you send those money, maybe it will not reach all of them, and if you yourself will be here, so they will get help from you.
The reason why actually I like to work with volunteers is that volunteers get to have a real kind of typical experience in every place that they get to visit, and it's really important because it helps to break stereotypes about like the other culture or the other countries.
Africa is not just poor people running around in grass skirts, but there are educated people here, and they're people with dreams and visions, and they know how to make it happen. Yes, life might be a bit harder here, but at the same time, it's not this desperate continent that needs America saving it. The West is not can't save Africa, and it shouldn't be that arrogant to think that it can. So I think you guys, your biggest role is being advocates of when you get back to the US.
Number two is becoming an ambassador for a project. Then you tell the word to other people how you formed the project and how you see the project can progress beyond what it is today.
So the first thing is to be a true advocate of the program that you're running here by spreading the word throughout maybe your friends or your family or your learning institution, and to create a network of people who believe, especially in girls' education and what it can do.
Where the impact comes from is you guys becoming advocates for when you go home. When people talk about how poor Africa is and, that nothing's going on there, that you've actually seen there is actually stuff happening here.
I've heard that Americans have a bad stereotype in many places around the world, so I wanted to see for myself what the local people thought.
Oh, I really like America. Americans are really respectful of the culture. Yes.
It's a place where you can really get anything you need in life, most especially education, which opens up the door for everyone. That opened up my doors for the world, that has helped me to be the agent of a change in my country and Africa in general. So Americans, they're my brothers and sisters.
I view America as a country of opportunities, where people who are not born in America, once they get to America, they are able to get a living.
Americans are nice. They are all nice and they are friendly, like Ugandans.
You are friends.
Americans have a heart of giving compared to other countries, especially like Europe or the UK. The charity is in them. There's a spirit of giving every now and then.
Many organizations came to Kenya, and they came mostly to help girls or many other organizations that set up. So I think they are helpful, and they have that heart of helping people.
We love Americans. We laugh at you a lot. I think people in general don't mind Americans. I think people here, they recognise the difference between a government and general people.
They are people with good heart. They can live with people and they can assist where the necessary.
Some projects that are ethical and sustainable and done right benefit greatly from the financial support donors provide.
The funding that has come through organizations or government from America or from any other countries to help communities, it has helped us to get this far. Otherwise, there's not much support from our own government, but much of the money that has supported many of the projects in Uganda has been foreign aid. So we are grateful to all the donors that have supported us, who are continuing even to support us.
If there is some support coming and it reaches through down to the poor, I appreciate.
For example, PP House, we are depending on volunteer. Without a volunteer, we cannot survive because we don't have any support from the government or from anywhere permanently that they are coming to help us. But volunteer, most of the time, they are really helping us at PP House.
But we will continue to be thankful to people who give us support, that they helped us to have a beginning. And our beginning should be meaningful in our own lives, but also for generations to come.
Visitors impact the morale of the local community so much more than you may expect.
You are making a great difference. First of all, just only the smile you bring makes a huge change for our people. You really see the joy people feel when you visit them. People see some hope that someone out there cares for them.
In our program, the girls come from really harsh backgrounds, and volunteers, when they come here, they are a motivating factor to these girls because volunteers, most of them are young, and it gives the girls hopes, like they get to talk to other people and form friendships, and through this they are motivated to be better persons than they are.
So the little help that we get from you, it's not little to us. It goes beyond what somebody can imagine. That one time when you visit here, the impact you leave behind is magnificent, very big.
Foreigners open the local community's eyes to life outside their rural village. Volunteering is a cultural exchange. Both the foreigners and locals become more aware of the global society.
It creates international boundless friendships, which are really important, so that your mind is not just coined to where you've grown up or your own local community. You have to expand your horizons and get to know what other cultures believe in and how to really respect those cultures.
I think it's good for you guys to open up your eyes to what is going on here, and you're seeing Africa for what it is.
See Africa as a global player, not as the poor guy who needs your help.
Think of what you can do instead of what you can't.
You are not only doing a project for today or for next month, for next year, but this is a project that is going to last the next 100 years. Can you imagine leaving an impact behind that will live even beyond your own living?
So reconsider your view of volunteering and foreign aid. Open your mind to new cultures and become educated advocates. Work with the local community to help a local community. Most importantly, don't forget that each of us can make a difference, and together we can accomplish what might seem impossible. Change your perspective.